Okay. Before everyone starts commenting on how late I am, I know that I'm more than a little bit late on the bus to making this guide.
You think this is funny?
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary
Chaining guide.
Oh my goodness! Squidward!
Listen, guys, this is one of my favorite shiny hunting methods, and I do plan on publishing more videos of me hunting via SOS chaining, so it only makes sense for me to put this on my channel in some way, shape or form. Also, when Gen 7 first released, this method was incredibly misunderstood. There was a lot of misinformation floating around online concerning shiny odds, hidden ability odds, and even people thinking that your chain would reset over time. So hopefully with me bringing this out a little bit late, we can avoid those same pitfalls in this guide. Anyway, on the incredibly unlikely chance that you're completely new to this, what is chain hunting? To make it as simple as possible, when you battle a wild Pokemon and get it to below 50% HP, it has the chance to call for help from an ally. This ally that they summon can be the same breed of Pokemon, or they can be entirely different, depending on the Pokemon that's calling for help. We'll talk more about this bit later. So, in essence, you get enough Pokemon to low HP, and then one of them calls in a shiny, right? Well, not exactly. Without the use of a specific item, the wild Pokemon will be limited to calling in only a single ally per battle, and it may not call for help at all, making chaining completely impossible. Thankfully, most Pokemon centers do stock Adrenaline Orbs, or at least they will after you beat your first trial, and they're incredibly cheap so you can stock up on plenty of them. So the Adrenaline Orb has two abilities when used in battle. Firstly, if held by a Pokemon, which has been on the receiving end of the ability Intimidate, the orb is then used, and your speed is raised by 1 stage. Amazing. And the other, much more useful ability is, if used directly from the bag during battle, the odds of a Pokemon calling for help from an ally are increased. And it removes the limit on how many allies can be called per battle. So for a quick breakdown, a chain consists of 2 things. Using the Adrenaline Orb, and then getting your target to as low HP as possible. We'll call this Pokemon your Caller. You then defeat any Pokemon that your Caller summons into battle. We'll call these Pokemon the Ally Pokemon. So you defeat as many Ally Pokemon as possible, until your Caller is as low PP as possible to avoid it struggling itself to death. You can then weaken the Ally Pokemon, and knock out the original Caller. The low HP ally then becomes the new Caller, and the process repeats until a shiny appears or you run out of PP yourself. Don't panic if your Caller cries for help and nothing appears, by the way. Your chain isn't broken, you don't need to run, you just need to waste a turn for it to attempt to call for help again. With that being said, before we move on to exact shiny odds and optimal team building, there are some important things that you need to know. Number 1. The lower the HP of the Pokemon that you're trying to chain, the more likely it is to call for help from an ally. Number 2. All Pokemon have different call rates, which is a number that's hidden from the player that dictates how often a Pokemon will call for help during a battle. Some Pokemon have a call rate of 0. That means that they'll never call for help, and I'll make sure that I list these Pokemon in the description below. Number 3. Status conditions will prevent a Pokemon from calling for help, so make sure not to pack any Pokemon with Static, with Effect Spore, etc., as they will break your chain if your target attacks them. Number 4. This one's a doozy. Not all Pokemon will call for help from their own species, the most famous example of this being Corsola. So Generation 7 introduced a Pokemon named Mareanie, and its Pokédex entry states that it, quote, eats Corsola branches, end quote. It's only attainable in-game via the SOS method, and it has a call rate of 0, so it never calls for help. The kicker being that you need to SOS chain on Corsola to find one. So what does this mean? If you decide to hunt for a shiny Corsola using this method, there's a chance that a Mareanie will appear in the battle in its place, and it will go as far as to attack the Corsola that called for help in the first place. It's so dark. This will effectively end your chain, and then you have to start over. Also, quick note, if a Pokemon calls for help from a different species than itself, and you KO the original caller while leaving the new Pokemon in battle, your chain will also break. Number 5, quick little tip. Turning off battle animations makes this whole process a lot less tedious and will save you a lot of time. I recommend it. Number 6, if you need to waste a turn, go back into your bag and attempt to use a second Adrenaline Orb. Not only will the Adrenaline Orb not be consumed, it will just straight up waste a turn, meaning you don't lose any PP, and you can make your caller Pokemon attempt to call in another ally. Number 7. Lastly, and this is important, remember that the Pokemon you're hunting does have PP. Ideally, you should research what you're hunting before you hunt it and find out what moves it has, so you don't run the risk of it running out of PP, using Struggle and KOing itself, because that obviously will break your chain. Okay, so with that out of the way, the next part is where you need to plan your team, your moveset, and the items you're going to bring, because this can be a very long process. Ideally, at the very least, you need a Pokemon with False Swipe, every shiny hunter's best friend by the way. You'll need lots of high PP moves to ensure that you can continuously defeat ally Pokemon. A ton of Leper Berries is really helpful to keep your own PP in a good place. Thankfully, you can use the Poképelago to stock up really easily, and if you want to go a little bit above the bare minimum, a Pokemon with the Synchronize ability to force the ideal nature onto your shiny is very helpful. Cute Charm can be really helpful as an ability because it can cause the ally Pokemon of the opposite gender to become infatuated if it does attack you, so it will waste its own turns. Clear Body can be extremely helpful when hunting against certain Pokemon, as they will repeatedly decrease your stats over the course of your chain. And finally, Damp. Prevents explosion. See my Solrock video if you don't know what Damp does, watch that video. There are a few specific Pokemon that really excel at SOS chaining, Sketch, Smeargle, and Alolan Exeggutor with Harvest being incredible examples. I won't be discussing them in detail here just because this is a beginner's guide and I don't want to overwhelm. I'm pretty sure that's everything. All that's left is to discuss chain lengths and how they affect your shiny odds, your IVs, and your hidden ability odds. Now this is where you'll find a lot of conflicting information online, as a lot of places are still hosting incredibly outdated, incorrect information. So I'm going to flash up this graph.
Look at this graph.
So look at this graph. The information shown in this graph is the correct odds for everything that it's possible to chain for in Generation 7. And this was data mined directly from the game's code by data miner www.ZX. Really rolls off the tongue. Alright, so let's break this down. What this graph is basically showing us is that your shiny odds reach the best at a chain of above 30. Your odds reaching about 1 in 315 without the shiny charm, and 1 in 273 with the shiny charm. You're also 15% likely to get your hidden ability and guaranteed at least 4 perfect IVs. So basically, this means chaining above 30 is your goal. It doesn't necessarily mean that your shiny will appear at 30 exact.
What?
Ignore that. Thankfully though, your odds do increase over time as your chain increases. I'm not going to cover all the odds shown in the graph in detail, because 30 is your ideal target and it's really easy to hit that number, but you can potentially get a shiny really early in a chain, the only drawback being that it will be less likely to have decent IVs or its hidden ability. So with that being said, boil it down as simple as possible. Adrenaline Orb, and then continually beat up one of the Pokemon. Switch when necessary, don't run out of PP, and once you're above 30, you've already hit max odds. Relatively easy, all things considered. And with that, I think we've basically covered everything. I'm gonna list the Pokemon that can't be SOS chained in the description below, and please let me know if there's anything that I've missed. Thank you all very much for watching, and I really hope this helps everyone out in their shiny hunts. Let me know if you find anything cool in the comments below, and as I said before, hit that subscribe button and head over to my Twitch and give me a follow if you want to hang out and potentially hunt and chat with me sometime. It's a lot of fun. I'm live pretty much every weekday at the moment and would love to see some more new people in the chat. We've been hunting Hoothoot for so long now, I think I'm going insane. We hit 10k on a fucking... We hit 10k on a Hoothoot. We've hit 10k encounters on a Hoothoot. I'm also going to flash a couple of my hunts on screen right now that I shiny hunted using this method, and I'll see you all very, very soon for my next shiny hunting video. So with that, bye 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 bye.